Good afternoon, Britain. It's 26 minutes past 1. Now, 2 police officers remain in hospital after this terrifying incident near Hainault Tube Station in north-east London this morning.
Yes, a 36-year-old man who has since been arrested. It said that the suspect crashed his van into a house before attacking those who have been injured. Now, a 13-year-old boy sadly has died as a result. We understand he was stabbed to death.
But with horrifying incidents such as this, it brings into the question whether our police should be armed.
Yes, this is a big question. Lots of you have already been getting in touch to say that they should be, considering and in light of this incident. So joining us for this debate is former firearms officer and Detective Chief Superintendent Kevin Hurley, who says it's time to arm police, and the former Met Police detective Peter Bleksley, who says it is not. Kevin, make the case for arming our police. We see today they are vulnerable.
Well, we pay our police to protect us, and quite clearly, in incidents that have occurred all over the country, people are killed because unarmed officers respond. Whether that's the case of Bird up in Cumbria killing 12 people, the incidents at Borough Market where it took armed police to stop people, and so on. This is another classic example, there by the grace of God, where a guy with a samurai sword ran amok, chopped at people, could have easily killed them. What I would like to see is every officer in the country equipped with a sidearm like they are in every other country in the world, apart from Iceland and Norway. Even sleepy New Zealand arms them. The bottom line is, when we're walking in a shopping centre, if someone runs amok like that chap did in Sydney, Australia recently, you need to have the first police officer on scene be able to take decisive action and stop them harming the public or killing the public. This isn't about arming the police to protect them. This is giving them another tool to protect us. Another concern of mine is, because the police as an organisation, the bosses are steadfastly refusing to arm the police, we've created a bunch of people who look like robo-cops with assault rifles and so on, who create a very, if you like, disturbing image. What I'm talking about is a discreet sidearm on the hip of every officer, so that when she turns up, a case where someone is running amok, like the case in Nottingham or anywhere else where the person stabbed 3 people to death, they can take decisive action.
Well, let's throw that over to Peter. Peter Bleksley, it's only Iceland, Norway and the United Kingdom where officers aren't routinely armed.
A recent poll carried out by the Police Federation of every police officer in England and Wales asked the very same question that we're discussing today. Do police officers routinely want to be armed with firearms? And there was a sizable majority that answered no to that question. And many officers said that if they were forced into carrying a firearm, they would in fact leave the police service. There is sadly a huge problem with regards to recruiting and retaining police officers these days. And whilst I can see the arguments in favour of arming every police officer, my contention is by suddenly placing 100,000 firearms onto the streets of Britain, it is not going to make it a safer place to live.
Let's put that to Kevin. It's not going to make us any safer putting more firearms on the street.
Well, of course it will. And that poll that Peter refers to is quite an old poll now, and it polled the whole remit of police officers. If you look at the actual votes from the Metropolitan Police officers, particularly response ones, they were the ones who wanted firearms. And I'm not talking about people on the screen you're seeing now with an assault rifle. I'm talking about a discreet pistol on the hip. It doesn't actually matter whether the police want to carry firearms or not. As a member of the public, I want a police officer to turn up in my shopping centre when someone's running amok with a chopper, a machete, and stop them and protect me and those that I care about. What the police think is irrelevant. You could bring in a phased system of training, and those who don't want to carry initially don't have to, but those who join later, just like when they joined the police service of Northern Ireland, carry it. The fact of the matter is, there are about 50 or 60 people dead in the UK right now who would have been alive if police had turned up with a firearm and stopped whoever it was running amok with a knife or a gun.
Peter, that's a pretty hard charge to sort of come back against. I suppose in this incident today, 2 police officers stabbed, undergoing surgery now in hospital. If they had had a firearm on them, this incident could have been over faster.
Well, we simply don't know the facts yet, and we'll have to wait for those to play out. And of course, I send my very best wishes to those officers and to everybody that was injured today, and I wish them all a swift recovery. May that 13-year-old boy's soul rest in peace, bless him. If we look a few months down the line, we will soon see the trial of police officer NX121 standing trial for murder for shooting Chris Cabba. If we fully arm all our police officers, there are going to be a huge increase in the amount of occasions when firearms are discharged. And I'm sure, although this is, of course, a bit of contention and guesswork on my behalf, that there may be cases when we will discover that those firearms were not discharged properly. I agree we need further rolling out of taser, particularly to frontline response officers. I would like to see all officers armed with taser, and I think there is a greater groundswell of police opinion and public opinion that would support that. But as for handing a firearm to each and every cop on the streets, I think that is a manifestly catastrophic idea.
Well, thank you very much indeed. Very interesting points of view from you both, Kevin Hurley and, of course, Peter Bexley there. Yes, I'm sure there is the concern among a lot of police officers that they could find themselves investigated if they do choose to use that weapon, and it could go on, could be protracted. They could, have to go through the criminal justice system themselves.
Yes, and the Chris Cabba case in particular is a very concerning one. Lots to go into there, and I'm sure once that has concluded, we'll be covering it in great detail on this programme too.
And we will get to some of your views as well. Lots of you getting in touch on the issue of arming the police on that very question.